Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. I wanted to make this little video today as just a nice little short kind of a core workout that you can do as a complement to a great many other things that you're probably doing with your fitness training, your movement practice, and also whatever else you're doing physically. This can serve as a nice warm-up for some people, and also just a nice complement to do as a kind of a finisher. It would also be helpful for that, or just a nice little workout to do in the midst of your day. It doesn't take long. We're going to explore 5 little movements, common movements that you're all familiar with, but I'm going to put a new spin on them. New spin on an old theme, and hopefully this will be a nice thing to do while you're kind of on lockdown for a while. It involves no equipment, just got my mat here behind me, and you can do it on a carpet, on the grass, wherever. So what we're going to explore today is something called the RKC plank. And I would imagine there are different interpretations of the RKC plank floating around out there. My understanding of it, and we're going to apply this concept to each of the 5 movements that we're going to do in our little core sequence today, is that what sets it apart from other kind of core movements is the intensity of the muscular contractions that you are employing in these familiar contexts. So we're going to explore front plank from the elbows, side plank, both sides of the body, the Superman or Superwoman, and then good old bridge. All of these movements are now quite familiar to a lot of people, but the difference is we're only going to do each one of them for 10 seconds, and when you're doing these movements, you're going to really drive hard into the movement for that 10 seconds. So for example, number 1, we'll start with good old front plank. The things that I want you to think about with this RKC plank are really pushing hard from the elbows into the ground so as to create maximal tension and stability through your shoulder girdle. So from here, for instance, what you're going to do is just really push into the ground, just like that. So that everything through the front of your shoulders, the anterior portion of the shoulder girdle, is really going to be super duper activated. And again, the contraction is only 10 seconds, so it's not a long time. But it should feel tiring once you're done, because you're really trying to go all out here with a lot of intensity. The other things I want you to think about are really squeezing the glutes with a nice posterior tilt, and contract your quads, or firmly straighten your legs. So we got 3 cues here. Shoulders are protracting really hard, pushing into the ground. The legs are locking, and the glutes are squeezing. All 4, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Whew. So when you get all those together, it should feel quite difficult. I just broke a sweat just from that first movement, because there's so many muscles in the body that are contracting really hard in relation to those 3 cues that I mentioned. The really kind of hard leg extension or straightening of the legs, the squeezing of the glutes, which comes from posteriorly rotating your pelvis, and then driving hard through the elbows. There are many other pretty intense muscular contractions that come about as a result, like dominoes, as a result of those three things. So that's why the movement is different than simply holding the position for time, which is also great, just a different focus. So the next one we'll do is Superman, or Superwoman. And the key to getting a really big contraction through the posterior chain of your body is to not just lift the arms and the legs up. So we're not just trying to get height. I also want you to think about going up, but also reaching out. So I'm simultaneously trying to reach forward with my arms and reach away from my torso with my legs. So I'm not just going up, I'm going up and back, and up and forward with my arms and my legs. So in real time, it will look something like this. We're going to keep the eyes to the ground, so the face looking downwards. 4, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Whew. Zoot allure. So again, really big contraction for 10 seconds of work. So this is a kind of high intensity training that should pose very, very little threat or risk to your body. Third one we'll do a side plank on each side of the body. Now, the cues for this are a little different than the front plank because we're really going to take this opportunity to bring in the adductors. These muscles along the groin area or the inner thigh, which are responsible for a lot of things in the body, particularly when you're on your feet and moving around, picking stuff up. The adductors should be good and strong and happy. This is one kind of unique way to strengthen them. So, what I'm going to do is same cue with the glutes and with the quads as in the front plank. So I'm flexing hard, I'm really going to straighten out my legs hard, and I'm also going to really flex my glutes. All the while, through my elbow, really pushing. So I'm trying to generate as much height as I can possibly generate from the ground up. Now the last addition to this particular movement will be the adductors. So in addition to the squeeze, and the big push, I'm going to squeeze my legs together really hard, like there's a walnut in there and I'm trying to crack that sucker open. So it'll look like this. You come up, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh! Ooh-wee! Jiminy Crickets. I had a housemate who always used to say that. Oh, so again, as you can see from my overall exertion, no, I'm not acting. It's hard. It's hard to do this, to bring all these muscles into the command of your mind, I guess, and really put forth this synergistic effort. It's tiring, but it's a nice kind of stimulus for the body to play with. So now, naturally, do the other side. Same concept, same cues. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. So squeezing the adductors tight, trying to crush the walnut, but also really straightening out the legs while driving hard. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Whew. Oh. That's good stuff. All right. Last movement. Good old bridge. And with these 5 movements, you've trained more or less every muscle throughout your core. Your core being something that's 360 degrees in nature, not just the abdominals. So you got the anterior portion, posterior portion, and the lateral portions. So it's nice and complete. Okay, last movement. So I'm going to be pushing hard off the ground, digging in with my heels and my toes, really the whole foot as a whole. And really, again, practicing my posterior pelvic tilt so that I don't hyperextend my back. What that means is, instead of just trying to generate as much height as I can, I'm just slightly from here rotating. So I don't want an anterior tilt with my bum kind of sticking out backwards. That's going to stress my lumbar spine and the erectors down there. Instead, what I want is to tip my hip, tip, and really push hard from there for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Whew. Ah. Good times. One of the many benefits of practicing the posterior pelvic tilt is that it maximally engages your glutes. And most people need more work on the glutes because as a culture we pretty much only sit on them. So yeah, it's a nice simple way to approach strengthening the glutes, which helps out the entire body as a whole. And the posterior pelvic tilt will also spare the low back. The low back should not flare up or start to hurt or get uncomfortable in contexts like these. With any of the movements that we just went through, your low back should feel a-okay. If it doesn't, that might mean, it can mean a number of things, but it might mean that other parts of the body, which are supposed to be jamming and rocking and helping out, are not doing their job. So the lumbar area of you, or the lower back, is working too hard. Those muscles are fast to pick up the slack for other muscles throughout the core. And that's not something you want. You want the core, everything through the core, to work together like a good team, harmoniously and synergistically. So yeah, I would do those 5 movements, 3 rounds of those. So we just did 1. I would do 2 more on your own for a nice little, I don't know, just kind of a cool way to approach your core training. It's high intensity, but it's very short, and it shouldn't be threatening. It's also great for building the mind-muscle connection, which is relevant for many things. So hope you enjoyed that. All the best to you in these troubling times. And in the meantime, keep moving. Bye for now.